Hello and welcome to the Atlanta Consortium Virtual College Fair. This is the University of Georgia presentation. Thank you for joining us for this info session. I have a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. That's why that Q&A button is so important. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. This presentation is also being recorded, as are all of the session and presentations. You will be able to find them at the same website where you registered in about a week's time. That website, strivescan.com/Atlanta. I'd now like to welcome Bianca Rahn to the screen, and she will be hosting us today and moderating this event. So Blanca, it is all yours.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Blanca Rahman. I'm one of the assistant directors within the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. I'm just going to briefly introduce myself and go ahead and kick it off to Megan. But my role in this session is I'll be back with you to moderate the Q&A. So do encourage you, like Jennifer said, to ask us any questions that you have. We have admissions staff members who are behind the screens who are helping us out today to answer those questions. And then after Megan's presentation, I'll be back on here to ask the questions that we've chosen to do answer live with. But Megan, you can go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, Blanca. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Megan Handy. I'm with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions here at the University of Georgia. I'm an admissions recruiter. I happen to work with students in Southeast Georgia, but no worries if you're not from Southeast Georgia. It's all the same process for everyone. I'm excited just to get to tell you a little bit about the why UGA and then the how. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, a look at the numbers. The University of Georgia is located 67 miles northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, in the quintessential college town of Athens, Georgia. We have 29,848 undergraduate students, a little over 9,000 graduate students, making our total family population 38,920. And while that sounds like a huge number, and it is, I really think Athens creates the perfect backdrop for our students. It's got music, it's got adventure, it's got outdoors, it's got the best food in the entire world, in my opinion. It is really just the perfect backdrop for our student experience here at the University of Georgia. There are over 200 different academic majors and programs, which are housed in 17 schools and colleges. So if you were to think of the University of Georgia as an umbrella, UGA is the top, 17 schools and colleges underneath that, which house 200 different academic majors and programs. It is a great part for me to point out that we do not admit based off of academic major and programs. So feel free to put whatever you want on your college admissions application. It has no weight on your admissions decision here. Okay, a little bit about student life. We have over 700 different student clubs and organizations. So there is something for everyone. But if you come to UGA and find out, man, they don't have X club and you really want it here, great. Grab a friend, find a faculty or staff member, and just like that, you have a new club and organization. And you may be thinking, how do I even find out about those 700 different clubs and organizations? Well, we have something called the Student Involvement Network. We have fairs every semester, or we have an online source where you can search by interest and find out when clubs meet, find out a little bit more information. It's just a really great way for you to get plugged in when you become a UGA student. We have a free transit system here at the University of Georgia. Your fun fact for the day is it is one of the largest public transportation systems at any college or university. It gets you all around UGA campus, as well as we have a partnership with Athens-Clarke County buses that can get you all around Athens-Clarke County as a whole. We have 5 award-winning dining halls here on campus. They are a 5 or a 7-day meal plan, meaning you can swipe unlimited 5 or 7 days of the week. One is open 24/5, so 24 hours, 5 days a week. They are truly incredible. As an employee, I love to go and get some food there. It is a great experience for our college students to have that community and get some good food while they are on campus. We have over 22 different residence halls on campus. 3 of which house a little bit over or right at 1,000 students. Those are our freshman or first year dorms. Those are called Russell, Creswell, and Brumpy. Those are really common that students ask about, but all residence halls are a unique and awesome opportunity for students to find community on campus. All right, we have a lot of things we could be proud of here at UGA. The three I want to touch on today are the Honors Program, Experiential Learning, and Double Dogs. The Honors Program is a separate office from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, meaning they know everything about the honors program. I will just tell you that my best analogy of the honors program is that it is like extra icing on a cake. So UGA experience for any students is a piece of cake, a great opportunity for students. There's icing for everyone. The honors program maybe just has a little extra. There are external scholarships that are found in there. They go on to win different prestigious scholarships, such as the Fulbright, the Rhodes Scholars. A lot of those students are housed in our honors program. So if you would like to find out more information about the honors program, because again, they are a separate office here on campus, honors.uga.edu is a great resource for you. The second thing is experiential learning. So experiential learning is a buzzword in higher education. You may be familiar with it if you have been attending a lot of these. We were one of the first large public institutions to make this a graduation requirement. And while it may seem like another box you need to check in order to graduate, we really do find that it equips our students outside of the classroom. So it is learning outside of the classroom. You can fulfill it in one of 5 ways. The 3 most common are through study abroad on one of our 7 continents. You heard me correct. We have programs on all 7 continents. You can go to Antarctica and study about penguins. You can go to Cortona, Italy. You can go to Australia. We have some really unique opportunities for students through that program. Second way would be through research. So we are an R1 research institution, meaning the second you step foot here on campus as a freshman, you can get involved with campus research. And then the third most common way students fulfill that is through an internship. So getting that hands-on experience in the workplace environment that you think you want to be involved in after you graduate. The fourth and fifth way are just service learning classes that really get you that hands-on experience, and it's a really great opportunity. And then lastly is Double Dogs Accelerated Degree Program, or Double Dogs for short. Is where you can get your undergraduate and master's degree in 5 years, saving you a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money. It is really unique and can be tailored to each student individually. So my favorite example of this is a College of Engineering student can go ahead and get their master's in business administration in 5 years. So if there is a combination of undergraduate and master's degree that we offer, your academic advisor can work with you to make that program possible. All right, some more numbers for you, but I really think these speak to our student success here at the University of Georgia. So the first one is that we have a 96% first year retention rate, and that is incredibly high, and we are really proud of that number. We attribute that to a lot of different things, one being our first year live-on requirement. So students are required to live on campus their first year. We believe it creates a community. It puts you in the heart of campus, makes you go to class, so you're more likely to have better grades. It makes you the heart of campus, closer to clubs and activities and involvement, and really just starts to cultivate that community at the college or university that you pick. We're really proud of that number. It's higher than the national average, and I really do think that that is because of our first year live-on requirement. That second number you see is an 87% 6-year graduation rate. We are required to report that number. We do find our students are taking advantage of their time here. That 5 years is really common due to that accelerated degree program, Double Dogs, that I mentioned. We have no idea why someone would take an extra semester and get to watch another football season. Who knows? But in all seriousness, we really do see that our students are taking advantage of their time here on campus. And then lastly, 95% of our graduates are employed or seeking higher education within 6 months of graduation. So you are leaving the University of Georgia equipped for whatever stop is next for you. All right, this is the nuts and bolts of our application checklist. So your application for the University of Georgia opens on September 1st of your senior year in high school. So September 1st is a big day for you to remember. It is early action and regular decision. It's just a difference of timeline. So early action is due October 15th, and results and decisions are released mid to late November, and regular decision is January 1st. So they are the exact same time, exact same application. It is just a difference in timing. We have what we call a counselor school evaluation form. So your counselor goes in and says, at X school, they were afforded these opportunities, and here is how they took advantage of it. It really helps us get a glimpse of you as a student individually. We have an optional teacher recommendation, and I'll say it is optional, but is encouraged. It helps us get a better glimpse of you as a student. And then we do have short answer essays, and you may be thinking, man, I want to get ahead of the game and start working on my college essays. And I would say to that, check out our blog during the summer before your senior year. We release our essay topics, so you can get a head start on that. If you're just bored in the summer and want to get a head start. I will say our early action, there are 3 decisions that you can receive at that time. So again, this is the one that's due October 15th. It's just a little bit earlier. There is accepted, denied, or deferred. If you're accepted, congratulations, go dogs. If you are deferred, that means we like what we see. We just want a little more time with you. So if you want to think about it hypothetically, we are rolling your admissions, your application over to the regular decision timeline. So you'll find out with those students in mid to late March around that time. If you are denied early action, you are unable to reapply for regular decision, and that is because we are confident based off of the number of applications we have already received that our admissions decision would not change. If that is the case for you, we really encourage the transfer route, as 33% of our students every graduation started out as a transfer student here at the University of Georgia. Okay, you are looking at our admitted 2020 class profile. And so I don't want to spend too much time on here because we are a whole student review process. These numbers for the SAT and ACT are a little not biased or confusing, but different, because this year we are test optional. So for the fall of 2021, we were test optional, and we have not decided if that is going to continue. That is a University System of Georgia decision. So we will make that announcement for our fall of 2022 admission cycle when we get guidance from the University System of Georgia. So I don't like to spend too long in here because it really is the middle 50. So 25% of our students that were admitted fall below these numbers, 25% fall above these numbers. And then students within these ranges weren't admitted. And that's because we utilize our whole student review process. So our primary consideration goes to grades, and in this order: grades, rigor, and then for fall 2021, it was optional test scores. And then our secondary consideration goes into everything else that makes you you. So what did you do outside of the classroom? Were you involved in sports? Were you involved in clubs? Did you work a part-time job? Really giving us context into who you are as an individual, and really telling us about your work ethic and what you're passionate about. And I love to say here, we don't know unless you tell us. So really make sure you're having a comprehensive list of everything you did in high school, so that we know kind of where you spent your time outside of the classroom, as well as those essays go into here. There's teacher recommendations, counselor recommendations, everything goes into that whole student review process. When you apply to the University of Georgia, you are applying for our merit-based scholarships at the same time. It is a one-stop shop. Makes it really simple for you. We award scholarships on a rolling basis. So if you don't find out immediately that you were awarded a scholarship, that is not the end all be all. We let students know when we stopped awarding, and that is usually late March, early April. If you are interested in our 2 most prestigious scholarships, they are housed in the honors program. They are called our Foundation Fellowship and Bernard Ramsey Scholars, and they are a separate application. But otherwise, any merit-based scholarships at the University of Georgia are automatically considered once you apply to UGA. So we also encourage all students to fill out the FAFSA to qualify for need-based aid and maybe joint need and merit-based aid, as well as we really encourage students to look at outside scholarships, because those are stackable and you can move them to whichever institution you decide to go to. All right, let's lay it out on a pretty timeline, because I know I've just thrown a lot at you. So early action application deadline is October 15th. Results are released mid to late November. that foundation fellowship that I just mentioned with the honors program, its application is due November 1st. So you must have applied early action in order to apply for the foundation fellowship scholarship. That December 15th deadline is the FAFSA priority, like I just mentioned. And January 1st is our regular decision application deadline, with results being released mid to late March. And then lastly, May 1st is our commitment deposit deadline. So you have all the way up until May 1st to make your commitment to the University of Georgia and decide if you are going to be a Bulldog. All right, I know I just threw a lot at you, and you may be thinking, man, I really wish I could visit campus. And currently we are only offering tours for admitted students. We don't know when that will change. You can find out more information by checking out our visit website. So you can just head to bit.ly/UGA CVE, or just simply searching Visit UGA will bring up our visitor center, and you can sign up for one of our virtual campus visit experiences and stay up to date. It's a 15-minute overview of admissions, just kind of like what I did, and then a 30-minute walking virtual tour with 2 current students, and then we do 15 minutes of question and answer. So it's a really great opportunity to not only hear stuff from an admissions counselor like myself, but from 2 current students as well. All right, I know I just threw a lot of information at you. I'm excited to get to do a Q&A with Blanca, but there's just some general information for you as we get this thing kicked off.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you for providing us with some information about what we have to offer. I know just knowing you and knowing myself, having gone to UGA, we would probably be able to talk about what UGA has to offer for days, if not longer, but appreciate you spending some time on that. For those of you who have sent in questions, thank you so much. We have admissions staff members again who are off camera who are helping with those, but we've also already selected some of those. For any of you who join later, do know that we have a Q&A function. So if you're joining us on your computer, you should be able to find that at the bottom of your screen. And then if you're joining us on a mobile device, you can tap on your screen and find that Q&A button. But let's go ahead and get started with the questions that we have. The first question is actually one that I think I've heard a lot when it comes to college fairs, when we used to do the in-person college fairs, which are, what are the biggest misconceptions about UGA?
That is a great question. I think the biggest one that I think of when that comes to mind is that it's too big for a student. And I remember feeling that way. As Blanca mentioned, I did go to UGA as an undergraduate student. And I remember feeling that way as well. Like 39,000 seems like a ton of students. And while that number seems big, it really doesn't start to feel like that when you get on campus and really starts to get that home environment. You start recognizing people on your walks to classes. You start recognizing friends in different classes. And I think that's one big misconception, is that we're too large. And while I certainly appreciate the differences in college sizes and students' preference, I think if that's one of your big concerns, I really challenge you to come, just like walk on campus, whether that's an official tour or not, but just to get your feet on the campus and see what it looks like to be a normal college kid just walking around. So I think that was one big misconception. And then I think the other one is more admissions related. And that would be that we have certain limits or quotas for schools. I remember feeling that way just because of my home, like high school, everyone said that they could only take X amount of people and to be admitted. And that's just not the case. We don't have quotas for schools or counties or zip codes or whatever you want to say. I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions I hear, admissions based.
Thanks, Megan. Yes, those are certainly misconceptions that we've heard throughout the time that we speak with students, parents, and counselors. I would add to Megan's on the size of the university is another one that is kind of added in there, is about the classes. So I know some students may be coming from smaller class sizes in their high school or maybe larger class sizes. And with just thinking of the size of the campus, typically students think that we have a very large class sizes. And I think about 88% of our classes have 50 students or fewer. So our average class size is about 38. So just to add a little bit on to what Megan was saying is that it's actually not that big. It is in terms of space, right, where we're located. But ultimately, if you come to campus, you'll see how while you're able to get acclimated to what we have to offer here. So kind of going into another thing that I think is oftentimes a myth that we hear has to do with majors. So is it better to apply undecided or with a major?
That is a great question. And let me just preface it with, we really don't look at it when we're reading applications. If we're being completely honest, it's great that you put it on your application. We use it for data. It's fun to see how many people apply for certain majors, but it really doesn't have an impact on your decision. So we are going to glance at it and just keep on going when reading applications. So feel free to put whichever one you want. I put something random and I'm pretty sure I changed it the second I got in. So it really doesn't matter if you change your major once you're accepted. Doesn't matter. We're not going to rescind that admissions decision. It is really just statistical and kind of fun to see what you guys are putting, but it has no bearing on your admissions decision.
Yeah, that's definitely something I think students are concerned about. And I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to do. And then right about when I was going to apply, I changed my mind. And just like you, Megan, I changed my mind once I was actually a student on campus and got to know a little bit more about what I was interested in and what I kind of saw myself doing post graduating from the University of Georgia. So I guess, you know, if there are students who don't really know what their major is or what they're interested in, is there anything that we offer to our current students that'll help them with that?
Yes, that is a great question. So we have what we call the Exploratory Center on campus, and it is an office designed for students who don't know what they want to do. And it's a great resource. You can meet with an advisor and just say, I have no idea. Maybe I'm interested in the sciences in some way. And they can help you kind of narrow down that, or they can help you pick courses that'll go for a variety of majors that you can take. They can do some like personality questions and tests and maybe guide you in the right direction. They're really there just to help kind of get students to start picking one or move on along in the process for that. They're a great resource, as well as I think another aspect of that would be the Career Center here on campus. So they're really good if maybe you know you want to be a doctor. I don't know why I keep picking medical, but that's an easy example. Maybe you want to be a doctor, but you have no idea how to get there. The Career Center can also help you work backwards or maybe connect you with the Exploratory Center. They're a great resource as well. Or maybe you want to do something business related, but have no idea which one. Career Center can kind of help you work backwards as well. So I think those two are great. The Exploratory Center is probably the most common one students think about, but Career Center is also helpful.
Thanks, Megan. We're going to shift gears a little bit to admissions. So I think we get this question a lot, and there can be misconceptions revolving it as well, which is we have two application types like you described, early action and regular decision. And is it better to apply early action versus regular decision for admissions purposes?
That is a great question. And it really comes down to timeline. Again, they are the same application. They ask for the same things. They require the same things to be done. It is really just a matter of timeline. So if you are maybe wanting to have those fall semester grades reported on your early action regular decision application, or maybe you have some really cool opportunity that you want to do in the fall, or you're just kind of nervous about early action in general, regular decision is your route. If you're like, I want to know and I want to know now, maybe early action is better for you. It really is just a matter of timeline. And I really encourage you to talk to your counselors, reach out to your admission counselor, reach out to your parent or guardian or someone you trust, and just kind of figure out where they think you should apply. Our early action is not binding. So it's not early decision, it's early action, and you're going to know early, but you don't have to commit until May. So if that's the route you're wanting to go, that is also great. But if we're looking 30,000 foot view, nothing is different. They're reviewed the same. There is no benefit of, submitting early action and then being deferred. It's just a difference in timeline.
I'll add a follow-up to that. This student didn't ask this, but I think sometimes there's also, a misconception when it comes to scholarships and whether applying one way or the other has an impact. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that is a great question. So scholarships are awarded on a rolling basis, and it doesn't, we make sure that we have scholarships to offer regular decision students. We make sure when we are rolling those on, rolling those out throughout the entire like admissions process. And that's so that there is an equal and fair chance for every student who is applying. So no benefit in applying early action for scholarships either.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Is it harder to gain admissions for out-of-state students versus an in-state student?
That is a great question. So again, if you're an out-of-state student or an in-state student, the application is the same. I'm going to reiterate that a million times. They are the same application and process. We are going to review them the same way. We're going to make sure that we're looking at your primary consideration and your secondary consideration, but by and large, it really doesn't have an impact on your admissions decision.
I would encourage you to make sure when you are working on your application, you do make sure that you answer the questions that are related to residency as accurately as possible, only because if you do actually make a mistake later on, you do have to go through several things to make sure that we can verify the accurate information. So just make sure that you do that on the front end so you don't have to deal with it later on by accidentally messing that piece up. Again, if you do, it doesn't make an impact, but that is something I would encourage you to do. Okay, so we have a student who is wondering whether the early action decisions are released before or after Foundation Fellowship scholarship deadline.
That is a good question. So that November 1st deadline is for the Foundation Fellowship, and we are usually releasing decisions mid to late November. So you have to apply before you know your early action decision. So you could be deferred and still have applied for the Foundation Fellowship, but you have to have that early action application completed by the time November 1st rolls around in the first place. And then also those decisions are later that month.
And do you happen to know if you can apply for Foundation Fellowship if you choose to go the regular decision route?
So you are unable to apply for the Foundation Fellowship if you do choose to go to the regular decision route. So if that is one of your big driving factors, then I encourage you to go the early action route.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We are getting this question a lot. It has to do with test optional. I think we're going to continue getting this question, especially having gone test optional this year. This year we went test optional due to COVID-19, and we certainly understand that there are a lot of factors that impacted whether or not a student was able to sit for an ACT or an SAT exam. So the question is, will UGA be test optional for the fall 2022 applicants, and when will they know?
That is a great question. So if you were to think of UGA as an umbrella, I used this analogy earlier, USG, the University System of Georgia, would be on top and we fall underneath them. So therefore, they make the decisions based on our test optional. So we have not received guidance yet if we are going to continue test optional or not. I would like to know, I don't know when we'll find out, but when we do, I promise it'll probably be on the news. It'll probably be tweeted out. It'll probably be emailed out to you by your counselor. I mean, it's going to go pretty widespread pretty quick. I have no inclination of which way we will go. I have no timeline of when we will know, but that'll come from the University System of Georgia. So unfortunately, the answer is just keep waiting if you are applying this next cycle.
Yeah, we all wish we could know, sooner than later, but ultimately it is up to the Board of Regents, and that is something that we're waiting before we actually make public as to whether or not we are going to require that. I think the next question has to do with students are applying to a lot of different universities, which we encourage. I think the average amount of universities and colleges is about 7, and so there's a lot of essays that are involved. Some applications don't require them, some require 2, 1. So in terms of our application, how many essays are involved and where can students actually find the essay prompts?
Yes, that is a great question. And when you said that, I realized I didn't even say which platforms we were available on. So I'm going to cover that real quick and then go to essays. We are available on the Common application, the Coalition application, and our institutional application. And on all three, there are 2 essays. So there are 2 essays for you to respond to. There's different prompts that you could pick for one of them. It really gives us an opportunity to kind of know more about you. So I encourage you to use it as an opportunity for us to learn more. Really think about what those essays can tell us about you that we wouldn't have received in the application itself. And I mentioned it quickly, but we have a blog on our website. So at admissions.uga.edu, there's a tab for the blog, and one of our associate directors is on it and writes pretty frequently and is really on the comment section a lot. He's very responsive. You can get on there and ask a question and he'll respond directly back to you. But he will post our essay prompts usually around the beginning of the summer for you to kind of get that practice in if you want. But again, it is to every Common Application Coalition and institutional have 2 on there.
Perfect. Thank you. I always love a good shout out to Dave's blog. I think it takes a lot of the guesswork out of our process. You are probably applying to or looking at a lot of universities to apply to, and every university is going to have a different admissions review process. So it's always best to go to the source instead of kind of hearing it from friends or other people who've gone through the process. Especially with every year being so different, you want to make sure you use the resources available. So the admissions blog is going to be a great one, like Megan said. He does a lot of posts on there, and he's a great resource for you as you navigate the process. I'm pretty sure if you have a question about something, he's done a blog post about it to kind of address what students are asking or wanting to know for that particular time frame. Okay, so let me look through and see what other questions we have here.
While you're picking one, I'll throw a little side note in there. Just make sure you check the date on the blog because there are older ones. So just make sure you're looking at the most recent blog post about whatever you look up, because we have changed over the years. I've gotten some confusion from students before where they're reading like a 2010 blog post. So just make sure when you search by the keyword, you're looking at the most convenient and most recent one. It'll cause less confusion.
Yes, definitely make sure you're reading the most updated one. So I have another question for you. I think with what is offered at high schools, every high school is different. You mentioned the way that we look at students. Some schools have honors, gifted. Other students are going to add to that and offer AP, IB, or dual enrollment courses. And so it just kind of depends on what's available at your high school. Could you speak on how UGA views APs and IBs versus dual enrollment classes?
That is a great question. And I think the best way to sum it up is you are going above and beyond if that is offered at your school already by going to AP, IB, or dual enrollment. And it is really just a question of which is best for you. And I know I'm saying the blog a lot, but Dave has a great article on there about AP, IB, dual enrollment, and he kind of breaks down like the pros and cons that may be there for each student. There's no difference in our eyes. They are both seen as rigorous, but it really is an individual decision. And so we don't want you to make a decision based off of us alone. So I really think his blog post does a great job of just kind of guiding you in a general direction. But again, there's no difference for us. You are going above and beyond. And if you're sitting on this call and you're like, my school doesn't offer any of that, that is okay as well. So that's what that class profile, school profile does for us that your counselor fills out. So it says at X high school, they were offered 2 honors and no APs and no dual enrollment, or 30 and 12, whatever it may be. And it really gives us that holistic view of you at your individual school. So if you saw that number of 7 to 12 APs and you're like, my school offers 0, that's okay. That's where that school counselor report and profile comes in. And we really make sure we're taking a look at how you took advantage of what was offered to you at your school.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we have another question that we're getting a lot of myths today. So does UGA like demonstrated interest? And if so, how would one show it?
That is a great question. The quickest answer is no, we do not take demonstrated interest into consideration. If you don't know what demonstrated interest means, that means some schools will take into consideration if you attend one of these, or if you attend a tour or if you open our emails or whatever it may be, but we don't take that into consideration. So attend what you want to attend, open what you want to open, but it has no impact on your admissions.
Okay, looking through questions that are available here, we're getting a lot, so thank y'all so much for sending those in. We have a question that has to do with SAT with essay scores. So for the UGA application, should we send our SAT with essay scores?
Blanca, I'm actually going to ask you that question because I'm blanking and I know that you know it. So
yeah, no worries. And it's been some time, especially being test optional, but in terms of SAT with essay scores, we actually don't need those. We are going to be looking for the SAT without those. Now, if you send them to us, just know we are not going to use them in our review process. So that's completely okay to send them to us. If you need to take it for another institution, by all means, make sure you do. So you can connect with each university and ask them, but for UGA, we don't use the essay scores for the SAT. And we're actually, while we're on that, a question I haven't seen pop up, but I think would be good to clarify is for ACT and SAT, do we have a preference on one of those?
Well, first of all, thank you for helping me with that last question. And I do know this one. So SAT and ACT, there is no preference. You can send in both scores and we will super score each individual test, but we will not super score. It is just, we will super score your ACT, we will super score your SAT, but there is no preference. Whichever test you feel most comfortable with, or maybe you scored better on, it is really up to you as a student to make that decision. But again, feel free to send us all your scores of every time that you take it. We will give you the benefit of the doubt and give you the best.
Thank you. While we're on that, we just got a question here. It says if UGA becomes test optional this year, so for the fall 2022, would it be better to submit test scores anyway? Would someone be more likely to get accepted if they submitted test scores, even if they're optional? So I think there may be a little bit of confusion of what it actually means to be test optional. So could you clear up what test optional means and how we would review your application if you are test optional? And then while you are thinking on that, do you mind going back to the slides about dates and deadlines? We have a student who's asking about those.
Yes, I will. Okay, so test optional truly means test optional. If you decide to send us your test scores, great. We will consider it in this order: grades, rigor, and then test scores. If you decide to not send us your test scores, we will just put more emphasis on those grades and rigor. Again, this is all hypothetical because we don't know what our next admission cycle will look like, but we are truly test optional when we say we are. So just know that more weight is given to those grades and rigor. We're going to look heavily into those. If you don't send in scores, we're going to look at grades, rigor, and then test scores if we do require test scores. Also, while we're on that, I would say that 40% of our students who were admitted for the fall of 2021 were admitted without test scores. And while some people would look at that and think, oh, like you really wanted the test score, then that's really not the case. As someone who reads files, a lot of them, I can tell you that when it is test optional, it's truly test optional. It just happened that a lot of our students were still able to get a test in that they feel confident in to send. That doesn't mean that we prefer one or the other. Really, test optional is test optional. Make the best decision based off of you as a student. Your counselor is a great person to talk to if you're on the line. And this goes for any institution, right? Like if you don't know your counselor at your school is a great resource. Your counselor at the institution that you're looking at is a great resource. They can help guide you in the right direction. I doubt they'll give you a perfect answer, but they will make sure that you're kind of on the right path to make the decision yourself that's best for you. So again, test optional is test optional.
Thank you. Keeping on the kind of scores part, let's shift to AP scores. So as you know, students are taking AP exams, IB exams. Does UGA care about AP exams if you take the AP class?
That is a great question. By and large, the answer is no. We are looking to see that you took advantage of courses that were offered to you, but your score has no impact on your decision. So feel free to go ahead and send us those scores if you're applying to us. It'll save you a step if you do get admitted and do come, but there is no, we don't look at that, if we're being completely honest, when you're applying at all. So it has no part in our application review. It just is on our page if you decide to come, that it's already populated to your student profile. But that's about it. We do recommend, if you are looking at us, you can send scores to certain institutions. You can go ahead and do that. We don't look at them. There's no preference to them on our application at all.
Thank you. So it looks like we have another question about the ACT. So for those of you who don't know, when we are looking at the ACT, we are going to focus on the following two subsections. So there are 4 subsections for the ACT, but we focus on English and math. And the reason for that is because those subsections are going to be the most similar to the SAT. And so we're trying to make sure that in our review process, we are putting all of our students at a fair playing field as much as possible. And because of that, we are going to be looking at English and math for the ACT with the SAT. Whichever one, like Megan said earlier, we don't have a preference on ACT or SAT. We do see students who take both. And overall, we're just looking to see whichever one has the highest subsections, and that's the one that we review. Again, if a student decides to use those scores, so there's always that little stipulation there. But for ACT, we focus on English and math in those. So it looks like we have a few more minutes. So I always like to end it on kind of a fun question, which is, if you were to be telling a UGA student, about UGA and where they can come, where would you tell them to come eat and explore and kind of Athens? Food is big in Athens, as music is, but what's one of your favorite restaurants?
I've thought a lot about this through my time in admissions, and I have to say I've broken it down by meal. So I'll go through it quickly. If you're going to breakfast, you got to go to Mama's Boy. The best biscuits in the entire world. They're as big as your face. They're so good. The second lunch spot would have to be Callie and Tito's. It's a Cuban restaurant. It's delicious. It's a fun environment. You can sit outside if it's a pretty day. Just 10 out of 10 recommend. And then dinner would have to be The Place. It overlooks downtown Athens. In North Campus, it is the best food. The fried pickles are amazing. You can't go wrong at The Place. So those are my 3, because I can't pick one because I'm indecisive. But if you can't tell, we love food here. So those would be my 3. Depends what time of the day you're here, but you can't go wrong.
Those would be the ones I would actually mention too. I'm trying to think. Maybe instead of The Place, I would say Last Resort Grill. It's pretty great. It has a pasta named the Struggleville. So kind of in the name already tells you, and it's definitely one that you would want to try, but love those. One of the things that I want to mention is, Megan, you mentioned The Place, and you said it's, downtown right across from North Campus. So that is how close our downtown Athens is to campus. We have the Arch, which is going to be our logo for the University of Georgia and symbol, and it is steps away from that. So very accessible to our students, and kind of helps make sure that we are merging the community of Athens, Clark County with the University of Georgia community. So it's not just you are part of UGA, but you are also part of Athens, Clark County. And it looks like we are actually about to run out of time, but we have a lot of questions in the Q&A. I want to encourage you to go to our Meet the Staff website. So if you go to admissions.uga.edu, you're going to be able to find our the staff member who is over your territory. So for example, I'm going to help students who are within Forsyth County, Murray County, and a couple of other counties in that Northwest Georgia area. Megan has a territory of her own, which Megan, if you want to mention what your territory is.
Yes, I am Southeast Georgia. So I'm trying to even think of a good divide for you, but you can search by high school on the search bar feature on Meet the Staff by high school. So it's really convenient for you as well.
Yeah, so it's a great way to, go ahead and get to know the admissions counselor, although all of us are happy to help you and are very equipped to answer any questions that you have. And then also Megan changed it back to our thanks slide there, so you can send us any questions that you have at apply.uga.edu or that email address, and we can help answer any questions that we weren't able to answer at this time. But thank you all so much. Thank you, Megan, for spending some time and answering some questions for us. I'm going to go ahead and let Jennifer come on and close us out. Thank you.
Awesome, y'all. This has been a great presentation. I want to say thank you to Blanca for doing an incredible job moderating, hosting, and getting those Q&A questions out there and adding so much great information. Megan to presenting, and Anthony and Kelly doing so much hard work behind the scenes to answer all those Q&A questions. So great job, everyone. And thank you so much for sharing the University of Georgia with everyone attending today and watching later. We have reached the end of our time together. So you will be, when you close out, you're going to get a link to a quick 4-question survey. I promise it's really short. We'd appreciate any feedback that you have. Again, this is just one of many sessions that are being hosted as a part of the virtual college fair for the Atlanta Consortium of Schools. So we hope that you will be signing up for more sessions. Also remember that you will be able to find this recording to watch again, share with friends or family, as well as find recordings for all of the other programming at the same website where you registered, strivesgang.com/Atlanta. Thank you again, everyone, for spending your time with us today, and best wishes in your college search and decision journey. Have a great day.